Imagine a world shaped by ambition, power, and the desire for control, where entire civilizations rise and fall in the name of gods and glory. From the ancient conquests of Egypt and Persia to the colossal empires of Rome and beyond, war wasn't just a means of survival, it was the fuel that forged human history. But what drives mankind to conquest? And what legacies did these empires leave behind? Today, we explore Conquests and Empires, the World at War, diving deep into the battles that shaped our world and the empires that rose from the ashes of conflict. Picture a world in chaos, where vast armies clashed, civilizations crumbled, and empires rose to power. From the ancient battlefields of Greece and Rome to the relentless conquests of Genghis Khan, war was the engine that built nations and toppled dynasties. But why? What fueled these endless cycles of conflict? In today's episode of our series, Conquests and Empires, the World at War, we'll journey through the pivotal battles and the empires that sought to reshape the world. Stay with us as we explore the ambition, power, and bloodshed that defined human history. War has been with us since the beginning of human civilization. It wasn't always about conquest, sometimes it was survival. In Mesopotamia, often considered the cradle of civilization, early city-states like Ur and Babylon were constantly at odds. Picture this: towering ziggurats, sprawling marketplaces, and amidst it all, armies preparing for battle over resources like water and land. The wars between these cities laid the foundation for what would become the great empires of the future. As the first organized societies emerged, so did the art of warfare. The Akkadians, led by the great Sargon, built one of the earliest known empires through relentless military conquest. Sargon's empire was one of the first to stretch across a vast territory, linking cities under a centralized rule. But with great power came even greater enemies. Fast forward to the classical era, where the battlefield shifted to Greece. Imagine warriors in bronze armor standing in formation, ready to face off against one of the greatest empires of its time, the mighty Persians. The Persian Empire, under Darius and later Xerxes, was vast, stretching from Egypt to India. Yet it was the tiny city-states of Greece that would stand in their way. At the heart of this struggle were the Greco-Persian Wars. Battles like Marathon and Thermopylae didn't just decide the fate of Greece, they shaped the course of Western civilization. Greece's victory at Marathon, where a vastly outnumbered army of Athenian soldiers defeated the Persians, became a symbol of the triumph of democracy and free society over tyranny. It's no wonder that centuries later, even today, we still remember the courage of the Spartans at Thermopylae, who, though vastly outnumbered, held off the Persian army for days. But Greece's power was just a flicker compared to the empire that would rise next, Rome. The Roman Empire mastered the art of conquest, building an empire that would dominate the Mediterranean for centuries. Their legions were feared, their roads spanned continents, and their ambitions knew no bounds. From Julius Caesar's campaigns in Gaul to the Punic Wars against Carthage, Rome expanded through sheer military might. But Rome wasn't just about warfare. They also understood how to integrate conquered peoples into their empire. Roads, aqueducts, and architecture followed in the footsteps of the Roman legions, binding their empire together. Yet, even Rome couldn't conquer everything. Their failure to defeat the Germanic tribes in the Battle of the Teutoburg Forest signaled the limits of their power, and eventually, the empire would collapse under its own weight. Centuries after Rome's fall, another empire would rise, far to the east, that would dwarf even the Romans in sheer size, the Mongol Empire. Led by Genghis Khan, the Mongols carved out the largest contiguous empire in human history, stretching from China to Europe. Genghis Khan was not just a brilliant warrior, he was a master strategist. His use of cavalry, psychological warfare, and highly disciplined troops allowed him to conquer entire nations with astonishing speed. But the Mongols weren't just about destruction. They connected vast parts of the world, creating a period of trade and cultural exchange that would later be known as the Pax Mongolica. As time marched on, empires evolved. The age of exploration opened new frontiers for conquest. European powers like Spain, Portugal, Britain, and France expanded their empires across the globe, from the Americas to Africa and Asia. These conquests brought enormous wealth to Europe, but at a tremendous cost to the native population. Colonial empires reshaped the world as we know it. Entire nations were built upon the riches of their colonies, but these conquests also sowed the seeds of future conflict. The competition for land, resources, and power ultimately led to some of the greatest wars in history, including the World Wars. As the modern era dawned, the great empires of the world began to crumble. The two world wars shattered the old world order, and the colonies, once the source of power and wealth for European empires, began to seek independence. The British Empire, once the largest empire the world had ever seen, faded, as did the French and others. Though the age of empires may be over, their legacy is still felt in our world today. Borders, cultures, and economies were shaped by these centuries of conquest and war, leaving a lasting imprint on human civilization. From the rise of the first city-states in Mesopotamia to the vast colonial empires of Europe, the story of conquest is the story of civilization itself. Empires rose and fell, but they left behind a legacy of innovation, culture, and sometimes destruction. As we look back on history, we must ask ourselves, what is the true cost of empire? And what lessons can we learn from the conquests of the past to build a better future? If you found this journey through history fascinating, make sure to subscribe for more episodes on the evolution of human civilization. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next episode.